Voilà, ma fille qui me fait un petit baiser, voilà, c'est très gentil. Donc Philippe Tsetsinis est un étudiant qui nous vient de l'Université des Arts Appliqués de Vienne. Philippe is coming from the University of Applied Arts in Vienna. And he will speak with us about the theory unknown polyphenism. So Philippe is more trying, in a way, in this theory and maybe in a large part of his work to make us understand where and how could be the future in the present.
So first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to be here. And just to describe my project really quickly, it's my project was made in 2 years, so that means like from 2020 to 2022. And in my project, I investigate on a fictional level the transformation process through several generations. So based on the thought experience, I question myself how subsequent generations might get confronted like with this radical change and with these evolutionary adaptations. So I use the word polyphenism. It's coming out of the biology and describes the changing of a living being through adaptations like to changing conditions. So I use the word polyphenism as a tool to kind of like recollect or kind of like rethink these processes. And in my project, I'm trying to imagining the future, and for this one, I did a lot of research in the neuroscience field, where I found a really interesting theory what says that we can only imagine the future while recollecting and putting together like already experienced moments. So because that is kind of like a fragmentary insight into what can be possible, my intention was to create images to find kind of like a similarity coming out of the film. So I figured out like this film still and this film teaser aesthetic, I would say, where you already have kind of like this insight into a movie, but or an insight kind of like in film still what is like coexisting with a bigger narrative but never shows it to the fullest. So my idea was kind of like to create the series out of these fragmentary insights. Yeah.
And so at the end in the story, you finish with 16 photographic staging. So can you explain how this is organized, how this is produced?
So in my photographic process, I'm working a lot with staging photography. So kind of like to create this special moment where you have as a reviewer actually like the feeling that you kind of like experience that moment. I'm really interested in to stage the moment and kind of like combine it like with these aesthetics coming out of the documentary that can kind of like be a movement or kind of like these special events where I'm really interested to kind of like creating this twist in this moment.
And it's interesting because while we're speaking about the future or what could be the future, and in your images you have, in a way, technology, sometimes lights or special effects, but at the end it's a print, it's a photographs. So you don't use a new technology until the end. You think your photography is more a printing image.
Exactly. So I think for me the best way to show my photographs is kind of like in a installation in a exhibition, where also my goal is with the help of installations to bring the viewer kind of like closer to the image by kind of like using installations where the reviewer is possible like to experience the photo with several senses, I would say. So I definitely see it in exhibition room. Yeah.
And why is it so important to associate protagonists to your stage?
Yeah. For me, like working together with protagonists is especially really interesting because you can create like out of a script like this special moment. Because like before I'm creating kind of like a project, my intention is to scripting like this whole process and scripting kind of like this whole idea around like this photograph. So my idea is like close to the film industry, kind of like to creating this whole story where protagonists are able like to actually act like in this moment, in this imagined. So yeah.
And again, as I asked to Alessandra, who would be your inspirations?
I would say like one of my biggest inspirations is definitely Philippe de Lorca, like the photographer, because I think like he is also like kind of like experimenting with this switch between staging and creating these really weird moments where you actually don't know if the moments actually happened or if it's staged. So Philippe Deloc is, I would say, like one of my favorites.
And actually, all your work. Well, is it the first series you did, or did you do many other series before?
I did a previous series called Photons, and yeah, but like with this series, yeah, that's the second big one.
Okay, and so this thought about the future and what would be or will be the future is something deeply written in what you want to do, in what you want to produce, to produce for the future.
Okay. So like you mean like as a photographer? I would like to continue these kind of like installations in an exhibited room, but I'm also kind of like have certain ideas for the next project. So yeah, definitely jumping more into this movie section and this aesthetics of movies, and yeah.
And what do you expect of this kind of experience being here at Paris Photo?
For me, like Paris Photo is like a really amazing opportunity, kind of like to connect with galleries, with book collectors, and with in general creatives like coming from all over the world, like to meeting here, like to share the same passion like photography. So it's like it means a lot to me. Yeah.
And actually, I suggest you to go and see Philippe's portfolio, because the prints produced for your images are very relevant of all the kind of matière and atmosphere you want to give in your work. So that's absolutely interesting. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
See you later.